How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Brad, the DC Universe Geek, in case you didn't know, and today I am joined by former Mattel employee, action figure designer extraordinaire, Jason Langston.
Hey, super fans. Hey, Brad. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Hey, awesome. Thank you for being in the video. Jason has been kind enough to join us in answering some of the questions that you super friends have posed to him that I asked you to leave in the comments section of my top 20 action figures of 2018. And we're going to get to as many as we can, but I do want to point out that the response was so epic and amazing that we will not be able to get to every question, but we will try to answer as many as we can and just do as good a job as we possibly can with this for you for asking the questions. So, without further ado, I think we should just jump right into the questions.
Let's do it, Brad. Let's go for it.
Let's do it. E asks, as in the letter E, I really hope they make Miss Martian soon. Maybe Superboy, Connor Kent too. I guess my question would be that before he was laid off, were either of those two figures being discussed?
Not that I could remember, but again, I would love to see Miss Martian, and I would love to see Connor Kent come out. I loved Connor during the Death of Superman and the Return of Superman storyline. Yeah. So I've always been a big fan of his, and so hopefully we'll get to see, especially that Young Justice version. It would be really cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, the new Young Justice, I mean, that's a really cool modern take on that classic Connor Kent. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was thinking I'd love to see him released as well. So maybe.
Yeah,
let's hope. The next question is from Sexy Blues, and he asks, while you were working at Mattel, where would you start as far as choosing characters that you would decide to make a new figure of, and what was the process of pinpointing a specific look or style of that character to go with?
Well, Sexy Blues. That's a great name.
I think we're pronouncing it correctly.
Sexy Blues. Well, the process would start with brainstorming, usually with the designer, the manager, just friends that are big comic friends. There's a lot of people that work at a company not in the department that are big comic book fans. So we would talk about that. We would look at anniversaries. We'd look at movies, TV shows, anything like that that could be important for the character at that time. Compile a list of characters, and then start looking at, can we afford the tooling on this? Can we get this together? And try to be as efficient as possible with that. Then ultimately get the marketing team to approve it, and then go to DC and Warner Brothers and see if they have any characters that are priority for them. But it's a very collaborative process. A lot of opinions are thrown in, and so it's not like a set, like, here are 6 characters you're doing and that's it. It could be open ended, and it just depends, I guess. But it was a very collaborative process with DC.
And it makes sense that you're not just getting a list from on high. You know, the folks in DC's Ivory Tower have sent you down a list by way of holy carrier pigeon on what characters you're going to do. That, yeah, you're right. I mean, it being a collaborative process would actually make sense. So, yeah, good answer.
Yeah, it's cool. Yep.
The next question is from MasterBat117. Are we going to get an old man Bruce Wayne and Ace his Hound since we're getting a Batman Beyond?
Oh, do you mean this Batman Beyond?
Hey.
They got a wing pack and everything.
And that answers some questions right there too.
Yeah. As far as I know, I don't think so, but I don't see why we couldn't eventually. And this upcoming year is the 80th anniversary of Batman, so it would be a good time to release some of the Batman family.
Yeah.
But it wasn't discussed as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I was there. But who knows what the future holds.
Okay, so the next question comes from Sakuraji10. How can a person break into figure design and in superhero art in general?
The avenue for that is great now that didn't exist when I was growing up. You have DeviantArt, you have Instagram. There's all kinds of areas for you to get your art out. But first and foremost, I would say draw a lot. If you can go to art school, awesome. If you can go to an art school that has an industrial design background or a degree, then do that. There are actually colleges that have toy design degrees. Otis in LA, Art Center, SCAD in Georgia. They have toy design degrees.
That's amazing.
But if you can't, draw a lot and get good at it and learn anatomy. So a couple of my friends at Mattel were actually comic book artists. They used to work for Image, and they worked for Marvel and DC, and they're amazing illustrators, far better than I could ever hope to be. But they understand anatomy, and that's really what it is. Just do a lot of drawing.
Yeah. Oh, and just so that everyone knows, Sakuraji does have an Instagram account where he posts images that he's drawn. And so you'll find that linked down below along with Jason's and also the bar you can see right there, just so you know what you're looking at. Next question. Our next question comes to us from subscriber Big Al. I want to ask your friend Jason when Mattel's going to announce the Shazam movie figures, and have they started planning for Wonder Woman 1984 and Birds of Prey?
Well, since I didn't work on those, I can't say anything about it, whether there are figures or aren't figures. But I have seen some stuff about the movie, and it looks fantastic. I think it's really going to surprise a lot of people. As far as Wonder Woman 84, again, since I didn't work on anything, I can't really say. But it sounds like it's going to be a great story. Birds of Prey, I don't know anything about, so that must have been talked about after me. But yeah, sorry.
So our next question comes to us from subscriber Raymond VJR. Great video. I love the idea. My question would be, is Mattel going to make another Mongol? Mongol is huge, and Mattel never made a big Mongol. The one that Mattel did was too small.
He would make a great Build-A-Figure, but I don't know if they're planning on making one anytime soon. I don't know.
There you go. Not privy to the information.
Yeah, sorry.
Our next question comes to us from subscriber Andrew the Meister. Could you ask Jason why the upcoming pictures for Batman Beyond don't have wings? Also, what era is the upcoming Red Hood from? Is there also a chance of Rebirth Roy Harper, Donna Troy, Green Arrow, and Deathstroke? That's a loaded bunch of questions.
There's a lot of questions. That's okay. Batman Beyond does come with the wings. I don't know why he didn't have them in the promo photo. Sometimes the internet team that takes the photos for those, they don't have all the pieces available to them, so they just shoot what they have. So stuff like that happens. And sometimes they're shooting Paint Masters and they're not shooting final product. So that happens.
Yeah.
As far as the other Titans characters, I sure hope they get to some more Titans because of the TV series, and I'm a big Teen Titans fan in general. But I don't know. I don't know if there's anything in the works for that right now.
Yeah, it sure would be nice to see some kind of like a classic era Titans box set at a convention or something like that. And then the next question was about the upcoming Red Hood, what era it's from.
Right, and Red Hood is definitely Rebirth, although we include a second head that came with the domino mask. That's more of his first reappearance, I guess you'd call it, when he came back. So it's not exactly going to be Hush, though, because it doesn't have the white streak in his hair, unless something changed after I was laid off.
Oh, customizers, I mean, customizers will they'll take the white paint and just give him that. If that's really something, for me, it's not going to be a huge deal. I'm so stoked we're getting a Red Hood figure. I've asked the action figure gods for years for a Red Hood figure. In my opinion, he is one of the most customized figures beyond Superman and Batman. He is all over customized. And if you look online on eBay, there's so many heads and customized versions of him. It's crazy. And this is going to be a dream come true for so many of us. This is a really good thing for us. Our next question comes to us from subscriber Stephen Reed. How's it going, Stephen? Hey, Brad, question for Jason. I would like to know more about the creative process for figures. Does it start on paper in concept form? I've seen Jason Fabek's concepts from Essentials, but then he's an artist by trade. Or do you look at comics for inspiration? Are figures sculpted in 3D programs or traditionally by hand? How much consideration for any figure is given to reusing parts from other figures? And finally, what figure did he want to see made in the Mattel DC Multiverse line that is not made yet?
That is a very layered question.
Yeah.
That's like three parfaits on top of each other.
Yeah, let's start with the first part. How do the concepts begin?
Concepts begin with taking a look at, very basically, we're given slots by the marketing team. So they'll tell us you have this many SKUs that you need to do for the year. So you'll get to do X amount of figures, X amount of waves. So then you can go through it and divide it up. So that's very basic, very objective. From there, you go and you look at anniversaries, you look at comics, you look at movies, TV, things that are important for that coming year. For example, next year is Batman's 80th anniversary. Wonder Woman had an anniversary a few years ago, so that was something that was important, doing some Wonder Woman stuff that year. And pencils on paper, yes. Pulling comics, yes. I mean, everything. Sources come from everywhere. And a lot of it is just a bunch of us nerds sitting around just like, God, it would be so cool to finally get the Ray. Why don't we finally get the Ray done? that kind of stuff.
And it's good to know that you're fans too. And then I guess the final thing is, and finally, what figure did you want to see made in the DC Multiverse line that's not made as of yet?
I'm a huge fan of 90s characters, so I would really like to see Impulse. I would really like to see a Ballant Catwoman. I would really like to see Monarch from Armageddon line. Wave Rider was a character I asked for a lot. He's not really a huge priority, and it's kind of funny that the name is the ship on Legends of Tomorrow. I was like, God, that means he's not going to be a figure.
Because the ship's named after him, and really, people confuse him for Firestorm. Was that Firestorm? What's going on with
him? But I always loved that. It's my first big event of comics that I remember when I was a kid was that Armageddon 2001 series. But I would love to see those characters, and Parallax is long overdue. I would really like to see Parallax come out.
Yes.
Not the big Cloud movie version that came out, but a legit like Banks. Daryl Banks Parallax would be awesome.
That would be awesome. And it would sell like hotcakes, especially if it was the Build-A-Figure to a Wave.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, now I just want to jump in and I want to ask a few questions of my own. You can answer these rapid fire if you'd like to, but I want to ask you 4 questions.
Okay.
All right.
Number
1. Was there ever talk about a classic Superman and Batman with the updated articulation?
Yes.
Number 2, any ideas as to why distribution may be so erratic for the multiverse figures?
I didn't work in distribution, so I couldn't answer that.
Number 3, how many waves and which ones have you had a hand in? So how many and which ones?
How many and which ones? So I got waves. I don't know because it changes. They move figures around and stuff. I worked on some of the Clayface wave. Very minimal things like drawing Superman's shield for his chest and his cape. And then I had a lot to do with the Lex. I worked on the Lex wave entirely.
Yep.
I worked on the Lobo wave. Yep. I had a lot to do with the Ninja, the Demon King Joker wave that's coming.
Yep.
And then there's quite a few figures that were announced that weren't assigned waves yet, like Red Hood, Red Robin, Mammoth, Black Canary, those characters, John Stewart, a lot of those characters I've worked on, but I don't know where they're lining them up as far as waves are concerned.
So essentially you could have your input into up to 4, maybe 5 waves, possibly.
I mean, it's easier for me to think of it in terms of years because I've been on design for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So definitely stuff this year and definitely 2019. Everybody works a year in advance. So the stuff that I worked on will be coming out could be as late as the end of 2019.
Fair enough. Good answer. And then question number 4, what lines did you work on other than, say, Multiverse? From
a product design standpoint, I helped out in Ghostbusters, the 2016 movie.
Okay.
And then for packaging, I worked on a lot when I was in the packaging team. So I was on Thundercats. I was on Max Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League,
wow,
Aquaman, Boomco, Matchbox, WWE, Batman Brave and the Bold, Green Lantern movie was my first big project. So I've done a lot. I did a lot in the 90s there.
So you've done a lot of packaging a lot of that really cool artwork you have had a hand in.
Absolutely, yes.
Cool. So that is my 4 questions that I wanted to ask Jason. Let's get back and answer a few more of your questions. Our next question comes to us from the Man of Silence, 1998. Do you have any ideas on making vehicles for the DC Multiverse line? Now, I know that you wouldn't have it now, but I guess the question, we could convert that into, is there any idea while you were still there of making any? Do you know of any on the horizon?
As far as collector vehicles are concerned, that I wouldn't know. I don't remember talking about it. I was very figure-based.
Yeah.
And a lot of the vehicles are kind of reserved for the more kid-targeted lines. But vehicles I would like to see a Redbird cycle come out. I think that would be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
There's tons of Batmobiles that have come out, but I really want a 6-inch scale Burton Batmobile. I think that would be awesome. It would just be so fun, right?
Yeah.
And then I love the DC collectibles, Batman animated Batmobile. It's gigantic and it takes up so much space, but it feels right. It's just cool. This vehicles get real expensive because they're just so large, as you can see with the DC collectible ones.
Yeah.
So It would be cool. I would also like to see some form of invisible jet come out. Actually, a couple years ago, I was managing the packaging team, and when the Wonder Woman anniversary was that year,
Yep.
We did the 4-inch figure, the old Infinite Heroes version, 4-inch Wonder Woman, and it came in a blister mold of Wonder Woman in the invisible jet.
Yeah.
We couldn't get the jet basically done in time. And then when Bill and I were kind of talking about it, I said, what if we did make it out of packaging material? We could get this done now because we have to make a blister for it. So Bill went hard to work, got it designed up, and the sculpting team created this really cool jet, and we were able to deliver a really neat piece. I think it was $10 or $15 at Comic-Con. It was pretty awesome.
I want to see the classic fisted Supermobile. From when he first fights a Mazo, and he needs it to shield him from the kryptonite, and also it gave him the upper hand against a Mazo who could just suck up all his powers, right? Can mimic his powers. I've always wanted that particular Supermobile to be made. I know it's ridiculous looking, but to me, that is the Supermobile, the fists on the side.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Our next question comes from subscriber JS. Will the Wally West Flash figures still release? Also, are there still plans to have a better head sculpt produced compared to the one showed?
I don't know that there were plans. I mean, that head sculpt's pretty good. It's done by the legendary Four Horsemen. But as far as I know, that figure's still coming out in the first wave of 2019. Of course, plans could change. Since I'm not there, I don't know that information. But I'm very hopeful because I really like Wally West, so I'm hoping that figure comes out.
Yeah, me too. That's a figure that I'm also really stoked about. I'm not going to lie. I'm stoked about all of them, but I'm really stoked about that one.
Yeah, it should be cool. And he should have lightning effects and running hands and all kinds of stuff. So it should be a good figure.
Our next question, and might I add, this will be the last question that we have time to get to if, in fact, you want to see the things that Jason's going to be kind of sneak peeking and showcasing here at the end of the video. Our last question comes from Ayendi's Showcase, and he asks, why is Mattel afraid of double joints?
I don't know that they're afraid of double joints. It really comes down to the decision of making something look good versus being functional. So you have to make that sort of balance between what looks right and what travels well.
Yeah, form and functionality.
Form and functionality are very important. And another thing that a lot of people don't know about is there's what's called a pull test, where the engineers and the safety inspectors have to check to make sure that a limb won't pop out. They'll go in and they check things. And with the double jointed elbow, sometimes that area can get weaker, especially female figures. I don't even think that the Legends does double elbows for female figures, but it's because they'd have to beef up the plastic around it. So they become these sort of macaroni noodles instead of having sort of nice design to them. They'll get real beefy and they don't maintain the integrity of the sculpt. So it's really just finding that balance between function and form.
Yeah, and the same thing as far as the articulation goes too. Maybe we should just take a moment too to talk about the idea, for example, that certain of the figures have the ankle pivots and certain actually don't. And you were actually explaining to me why certain ones do and certain ones don't.
Well, the ankle pivots came around when I started working on the brand. It was something that I was very passionate about, and it's something that fans had been asking me for a long time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that happened. And but sometimes when you do something new, you have to test those things, and it kind of slows down the process a little bit.
Yeah.
So you have to do some debugging and making sure that it works, and it also will pass the pull test. So it changes things, and it also makes it so that you have to tool up new things. And when you're spending tooling money on new lower legs, you have to make a case for why you would use those new lower legs on something else, or just to show that it's efficient, that you're being cost effective. Because ultimately, keeping the cost low for the consumers is what's most important. If toy companies like Hasbro and Mattel, if they new tooled everything, every single figure, you would either not see as many figures, or they would be astronomical. They'd be a lot more expensive. So they have to be very selective about the tools that they're using. And something like DC Classics, they use that same form factor for a very long time, that same body buck, and they were able to get a lot of mileage out of it by just painting new details and sculpting where absolutely necessary, like heads or new fists or things like that,
gloves,
like where they need
boots and belts and
gloves,
stuff.
Boots, where it's necessary. But you just have to keep the cost in mind.
Exactly. Otherwise, no one's going to be able to afford them.
Yeah,
That's just
true.
the nature of the game.
Yeah, and even companies that do very high end, like Mezco, they're reusing the body that they underneath the cloth costumes a lot.
Yeah.
And
And,
so,
and to be fair, the same thing. I mean, Marvel with their Marvel Legends line. I mean, there's a lot of reused buck parts as well on a lot of those figures. So, every company is doing the same sort of thing, right?
well,
To
and
save cost.
they do it, and it's not to get one over on anybody or anything like that, because I have friends at lots of different toy companies, and we're all fans of this stuff. Some of us are bigger nerds than others, but it's really trying to get as many characters out as possible, because I don't think anybody wants just a Batman. They want to see Duke Thomas, they want to see Tim Drake, they want to see Jason Todd, they want to see all these other Batwoman. They want these other characters to come out. And if you want to get deeper and deeper, you have to be very selective and efficient with the tooling.
Before we go, I understand that you've got some things that you would like to maybe share with us.
I did bring a couple of friends along. You saw Batman Beyond earlier. I
did.
brought Superman, Kingdom Come Superman, something that I'm very excited about.
Check it out, guys.
He's not just a repaint. I mean, he is using a lot of that rebirth, but we gave him new lower arms so that you don't have the pointy cuffs.
Yep.
He has a sculpted belt with that oval shape.
As opposed to this one.
Correct.
Yep.
Now, no, these boots aren't sculpted. They are painted, but we do have some ankle rockers going on
there
here.
You go. Pivoting side to side. And for those of you who don't know, these ones do not have any kind of pivot or rocker whatsoever. So that's definitely a huge upgrade.
Yep. And then I'll show you this guy too. Ooh,
Lobo. Not gonna lie, one of my most anticipated action figures, DC figures of all time. This is huge for me. I love this figure.
What I really like about this is it's been 10 years since that SDCC one had come out.
The way too big one.
It was really tall. I think it was sort of a one-off. It ended up being almost 8 inches or 8.5 inches, and it never really fit in with the other figures. So this was a great opportunity to come back. We did reuse some parts with Mutant Leader, so you're not going to get double knees here, unfortunately, but you are going to get rotation in the ankles.
There you go.
And he's got crazy amounts of real chain, which wraps all the way around his back there. He's just wrapped around his hand. But he does have wrist hinges there.
That's a good use of the MOCU buck, too. The Masters of the Universe buck as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then he's a swappable head, which is somewhere around here. And the vest does come off. So he's a great Build-A-Figure and goes totally to I know technically Lobo came out in the 80s, but to me he's always associated with the 90s, so that's kind of...
Yeah, well he had that resurgence of popularity really in the 90s, around the time that Superman came back from the dead. Yeah. Lobo also saw another resurgence in population and popularity. So, yeah.
Right, and I don't know a single person that was going on web chats that wasn't saying bastiches and fragging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still use those words. Those words. Regular parts of my vocabulary around the house when I want to cuss, but not cuss.
Yeah, I would love to see. I mean, with the success of the Deadpool films, I would love to see a Lobo film come out that sort of makes fun of some stuff, and because he's very self-aware, and I always love the animated version of him. I think John DiMaggio did the voice for him, so it would just be great to see this character come back. So I'm excited about it. It seems like the right time.
Yeah.
On my Instagram account, I did a photo side by side of the other one. You can just see, like, he just fits. He just works. I set him next to Superman, and it just works.
That's the right size. That is the right size. And for those of you who don't know, before Jason shows us anything else, Jason has the Instagram account JNL Toys. So you can follow that Instagram account, link down below. And he also has Dad Ventures. Follow that one. He does little cartoons, little comedy-ish cartoons on that one. So follow both of those Instagram accounts.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. And then you've got, what else did you have to show us?
I brought my friend and yours, Kyle Rayner.
Kyle Rayner in the 90s suit.
Yep.
Dude, a very asked for figure.
It's the right mask. It's the right costume. The only thing is we had to change the logo to be Rebirth, because the Rebirth design is very reminiscent of the 90s.
Yeah.
But initially, I think in the packaging that was just shown, I saw it was leaked on Instagram, or someone's got it in hand through Paul Mart store. Originally, the figure was going to be 90s, but I think DC may have asked to update it to Rebirth.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, because I'm not at Mattel anymore, so I don't know. That's my guess. But
at this point, I'm not going to complain, because that will be the most highly articulated Kyle Rayner figure in that era's suit that we've ever received. I mean,
yeah.
there is a few by DC Direct, and I've got the one kind of lumped in with my Justice League from that era, but I'm so stoked about the whole wave, but also about this figure for realsies.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's with the brand new lantern. Did not reuse the old lantern. It's got a brand new lantern, and an energy effect that's different. It's not just a construct. I wanted something that was neat. Let's see if I can find it in my bucket down here. But I wanted to bring that to life. I'm a big fan of Daryl Banks. I love his art, and I remember he wouldn't just draw. He would draw really cool constructs, but for his covers, he would just do simple things like a flaming trail.
Yeah.
And getting that that sort of trans-tinted flame just brings the powers to life. I just think it's really exciting. Who am I missing? Oh, we got Kid Flash down here as well.
Yes, Kid Flash.
Kid Flash was our poor little homeless figure that didn't have a home after the Toys R Us closing. So he slotted into this wave to make sure that he gets out. He was originally scheduled to come out with Beast Boy as a Titans mini wave, I guess you'd call it. So I'm hoping that Beast Boy sees the light of day in another wave at some point. I'm sure he will.
I think he will. I mean, he's for pre-order at Paul Mart store for a small fortune, but he's for pre-order there. So I'm assuming that he will.
But so we got a little bit of 90s, a little bit of Rebirth, and it's a great wave. A Flash, a Batman, a Superman, and
Lobo, Green Lantern.
Lobo. I mean, with that. I mean, other than needing a Wonder Woman, it's a pretty great wave.
It's a really solid wave. I think that Mattel with Multiverse is really, with the blue packaging forward, coming out of the gates running. Like, they're really creating a buzz because of their character selection and the updated articulation. I really think that Mattel is entering a new age of action figure greatness with the new Multiverse figures. Honestly, even these ones here, which are wildly different. I mean, these are fantastic. They're fantastic.
Yeah,
even this one here, this one gets slack because a lot of people don't like the head sculpt and stuff, but I mean, he still is amongst my favorite figures. Absolutely. I think Mattel is doing a fabulous job as of
I like the separation from the basic, like the $20 figures to the $24.99 ones, because then you get the opportunity to do sort of the one-offs, like your Linda Carter and the John Wesley Shipp, Flash, stuff like that. It's kind of nice that they're not taking up a slot where a comic character.
Yeah.
Mostly because I did the comic stuff. Like, I was working on comic figures where my mentor and manager, Bill Beneke, was doing the premium figures. So I liked him having that home with those, and then he could focus on adding toe articulation and stuff.
Yeah. I call that toe-ticulation.
Nice.
Toe-ticulation.
Yeah. I'm going to write that down. But I'm excited. I like seeing a commitment to comic characters again. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and no one else is doing it, at this point. Like, even DC Collectibles, which is DC's own action figure line, even they're not doing it on the scale that Mattel is doing it. If we're going to be honest and be fair, I mean, the Essentials is a cool line, but they're not releasing nearly the amount of figures that Mattel is.
I think that DC Collectibles has a great form factor now, and I think that it's resonating. And they're not doing a ton of characters, but I'd like to see them come out with some more stuff. What hurts is when they come out with the Icons line and then they kind of abandon it after
they drop it.
Yeah, not too many characters.
And so many characters that should have been released. Like, it's like, oh, no Captain Marvel. Sorry, no Shazam. That figure was canceled. We also had the blue and the gold, the 2-pack buddy pack with blue, Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. That was canceled. Sinestro, goodbye. Deadshot, where is he? Catwoman, what Catwoman? Like all these characters that would have been selling like hotcakes were just, they were canned. And that was something that I really feel like fans, they're still bitter about. Actually. Fans that like that scale are still bitter about it.
And my friends over there, they really they love these characters, and they have giant. It's their office actually. The DC. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you, but their office. I don't see why not. Their offices are awesome, right? They have giant sliding glass doors for like the director offices and stuff that are all on the outside of the building, and they have sliding glass doors with giant artwork. And all of these guys, they're all huge fans of this stuff. One of the designers on the design team. His desk covered in Flash stuff. There's every single Flash. I have a big Flash collection. His is twice as big as mine. And they want to get more characters out. Yep. So I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't work there, so I don't know. And I don't work at Mattel, so I can't really say anything going forward. But guys like the people at DC Collectibles and guys at Mattel and Hasbro, they want to get these characters out,
Yeah. Fellow fans.
Yeah, they really are.
But alas, Super Friends, we have came to that point in the video where I must say that it's probably gone on long enough. Yes, the video is definitely longer because we have to let something like this be what it is. However, we also can't risk making it so long that it's completely undigestible as a piece of media. So we're going to break it off right here. But before I do so and give my end of the video spiel, let's give Jason a chance to say one last thing to you folks. Have his final say in this video.
It's like the Jerry Springer final thoughts.
Yeah, except for less sleazy.
That's right. I should hope so. I really want to thank Super Friends and you, Brad, for having me on and for your great questions. It's been an amazing experience before being laid off and after. I was surprised at the amount of love that I've received, and I really appreciate the support and the positivity, and I don't mind the negative comments. I'm happy to take it, the good and the bad. But I really appreciate the support, and working on action figures, working at Mattel, it was all a dream come true, and I'm looking forward to my next adventure.
Well, and you know what? Thank you so much for joining us. It's been really awesome to talk to you and get to know you. What you Super Friends don't know at this point is that Jason and I, every time we have to stop the camera, like we're just chatting about stuff. And Jason is a really awesome, funny, intelligent, warm, and genuine guy. Seriously, follow him on Instagram because the guy deserves it. He's awesome. Yeah. And really, as a final note, I want you to know that you have made your mark forever on DC action figure collecting, and no one can take that away from you. You have helped bring characters to light that us fans have been asking for a long time. So your place in action figure history is forever solidified. That's yours.
I appreciate that, Brad. That means a lot. Thanks, man.
Well, I'm just giving the credit where credit's due. And with that, folks, we are done the video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. I really appreciate that. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my face and a lot more of my hands, because I do a lot of action figure reviews usually, then subscribe to the channel. You know where the red button is. Remember to doink the bell so that you get notified of new videos, because YouTube is kind of silly like that. It doesn't always notify people. And then finally, any comments you might have, leave them down in the comments section below, because we really love to hear from you. And I'll see you next time. Have an awesome day, Super Friends. Take care.